It's
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for logging in. I didn't know what the attendance would be today, having it be at an odd time. We originally scheduled this time to make it so that Megan could join us. But as it turns out, I'm out of town and I'm up in Maine with my friend Kate, who is, Doreen says hi, who is going to be the model for the teaching. So this is being recorded, so you can, sort of take this class again and again if you do download it. And the topic is essentially restorative yoga. I know that you've already had the opportunity to learn about the theory around restorative yoga, and I just want to open it up right now. If anyone has any kind of questions or comments about restorative yoga theory or how you might be able to use this or teach this, anyone have any questions about we can start that way. Okay. All right, so if you don't have any particular questions, remember that restorative yoga in general is something that's done, the active part of the practice is that of setting up the props, and then the rest of it is pretty passive. And that's the beauty of it. So this is very Langana, very inwardly focused, very healing. It can be profoundly healing if done well. We don't want to go into active stretching, and we don't want to stay in a place that's physically very uncomfortable for us or mentally very taxing. So those are the sort of overall precepts, and then we'll talk a little bit about each individual pose. So what I'm going to offer you is just basically about 5 or 6 different shapes and forms, and carry you through an experience that will take you through pretty much all actions of the spine. So that's sort of how I've designed this offering for you today. As we had stated before, there's a whole book called Relax and Renew by Judith Laster. That's sort of the first Bible around restorative yoga. And she offers some beautiful instruction and narrative around different poses. Even since the publication of that book, there have been more shapes and forms that have been kind of designed and innovated. So it's a world that I hope that you can open to yourself and to your students. And I will volunteer myself, because we're doing this in a way that's not ideal for me to be teaching this to you. If you're finding that you need more assistance or more instruction, just reach out to me individually, and I can talk to you and help you with that. If this is something you're like, down the road you decide you want to teach it and you're just not sure that you know enough. Keep in mind also, I don't know when, but this month I was supposed to be offering restorative yoga training. That got, postponed. Can't do that online. So that's going to be coming around the bend at some point as soon as we can. And we'll, teacher training, you guys will get a significant discount in tuition if that's something that you want to pursue. And you will get a separate certification relating to that. Okay, so that said, any questions about anything that I said in the last 5 minutes? All right, again, thank you so much for showing up today and showing up in a place that's sort of energetically charged to have us be exactly the opposite of what restorative yoga is. So in that way, this is extremely timely. So I'd like to welcome Kate. Kate Devine is a really good friend of mine. She's actually, you may have heard me mention her in the teacher training. She's actually my neighbor in Belize, the land I have in Belize. She owns the neighboring property, which is kind of cool. And she moved back to the States. And so we've been good friends for a long, long time. And Kate herself is a very, very adept massage therapist and a long-time yoga teacher. I've been teaching for 20 years? 20 years, 20 years. So, so this will be fun. We're going to start again. Hopefully you read the last email. Hopefully you have some stuff that you can use for props, but we're actually going to start in Makarasana, which is not an unfamiliar shape to you. And we're just going to work with Dirga breath for a few minutes. So this is optional, but I'm taking the blanket in from storage fold like this and just folding it back on itself so that I have, it's like this. There's just maybe a 4-inch, 6-inch fold like this, okay? So have it folded and then back on itself. Your chest, your rib cage is gonna be here on the single fold, and then your armpit chest is gonna be on the more triple fold, okay? So that you're supported right around your bra area, and then you're gonna come down into Makarasana like that. So we're just kind of lifting, so you're not pressing the lungs too much. You're gonna lay down on your tummy. Take a peek at Kate as she gets this set up. Allowing the chest to rise up a little bit here and free the belly. So if this is not comfortable for you, this is a suggestion. If this is not comfortable for you, then go into any, just remove the prop altogether or put it, just keep it lower than your breasts, okay? So I think this is actually a great idea. Kate's started, she's in the position, legs are turned out but without force, and she started with a few Ujjayi breaths. So why don't we do that just as a way of sort of tuning into the internal vibration of the breath, and then gradually allow your breath to quiet. So take some deep breaths into those 3 rims, the pelvic, the diaphragmatic, and the thoracic rim. And the same pattern on the way out. Release pelvis, diaphragm, and then thoracic. Feel like as you breathe in, as you come into the top of the inhalation, the elbows almost want to spread wide because the wings of the collarbones and the shoulder blades are moving away from each other. The side body spreading into the reach of the elbows. And as you exhale, let your legs be heavier, your pelvis, your belly, your chest, your head, and then let the back body just sink into the front body. Let your jaw be relaxed, so keep your molars away from each other. And keep the eyes in their sockets relaxed. The added benefit to this particular position is that the forehead is supported on the hands. And when we have pressure in this way on the forehead, it's, we know it as almost a quasi-organ called the glabella. It actually triggers the brain to go deeper into relaxation mode as long as there's no pain. So that pressure on the forehead, you might feel the sinuses draining a little bit. This is all part of that parasympathetic nervous system trigger that's helping you to move deeper into relaxation. So Dirga breath, 3 more rounds. And if you feel like Ujjayi is maybe a nice thing for you right now, it's just at a volume of 1 or 2 where there's no outward sound. It's only vibration. And watch your transitions between the beginning of inhale and its end, beginning of exhale. As each half of the breath flows into the other, remember that the transitions are indeed where we can find it even a greater depth to that self-awareness that we're speaking of, that self-awareness, that present moment awareness that we're seeking. One more round of breath, please. Beautiful. All right, begin to slide your elbows towards your ribs a little bit. Lift your head up off of the floor. Come on up, sit back onto your heels for a moment. We're going to set up for Supta Baddha Konasana, reclining bound angle pose. And in the email, preparatory email, I'd ask that you have a strap handy. Hopefully you all do. If you don't, oh well. And if you don't have a legit bolster, you hopefully some more you can use. So you're going to take the strap and bring it right around your entire body. Okay, the strap is going to go to the inside of the knees. So if you want to take a peek at what Kate's doing, Kate, can you turn to the screen? Sure. Take a peek at what Kate's doing. She's got it to the inside of the thighs. She's got it to the inside of the thighs, and then it goes around the outside of the feet. From there, you tighten it up. Make sure that you're not, the buckle is not digging into your foot. Okay, so soles of the feet are together. So make your loop much bigger, Meryl. Uh-oh. Hopefully you don't mind if Honey comes in and joins us. On the couch. Good girl, Honey. Okay. You good, Doreen? I can't see your piggies, but you good, honey? It's too short? Okay. Live and learn. You know, those 6-foot straps are for the birds. Get a 10-footer. Okay. So we're going to take the bolster or whatever you have, and it's going to go right up to your low back. I have another bolster that I'm going to use as a lift under the upper third. And then you can use your blanket. So you see, you don't want your chin to poke up into the air. You need the back of the neck nice and long. So lift up. And then I'm just going to support her cervical curve. Now Kate has very open hips, so to have the legs be unsupported is probably okay for her, but not for most of us. So let's see how we're doing. So the blocks are going to go diagonal to your femurs. Let me go on this side. So, diagonal to your femurs and underneath your femurs. So I see you're all still sitting up. I will repeat myself. Annie's almost there. Yep. So Meryl, you're going to bring the strap to the outside, the inside of your knees. Yep, and around your piggies, just like that. Make sure you're not on the buckle. You got it, babe. Okay. And then we're going to come back. Whatever your prop is lengthwise to your spine. So Natalie, put the blocks underneath your knees. Support. We don't want to hang those legs out into space. It creates a lot of, way more tension than it doesn't make this restorative. Okay. So Annie and Natalie, I'm not sure, Meryl, let's take your hands to your low back and push your butt flesh down towards your heels. A little less back bend, Annie. Alyssa too, yeah. So you don't want to ruche your butt flesh up towards your low back. You want to push it down, let it hang. Yep, got it, Kate. So you're almost like you're doing a reverse pelvic tilt. Beautiful, everyone. Nice. Now, everybody's in the position. Now you're surrendering to gravity. You've heard me say that 100 times. But here you're really surrendering to gravity, and it can be systematic. So I'm going to invite you to imagine that the tension in your body is like water in a waterfall. So from the crown of your head, through that forehead and the temple skin, the cheeks, the ears, the jaw, the sides of the neck, the front of the neck. Release tension. So we unconsciously hold muscular contraction for whatever reason. Now collarbones and top of your back. Let the upper arm bones yield toward the floor. Feel like you're spreading open from your sternum. And the side ribs are draping on either side of your bolster. Relax your tummy into your low back and relax your low back to gravity, to the earth. The space just above your pubis is a space for women particularly that we hold tension. Relax that. And then the hip area, the hip sockets themselves. Relax inner thigh to thigh bone, relax thigh bone to outer thigh, relax outer thigh to the floor. And then the lower legs, the heels, the lengths of the feet, the toes. And then we just, into the stillness, we plant deeper a relationship to that Dirga breath, the 3-part breath. Inhale, belly, middle, upper, and a slow roll into the exhalation. Release belly, middle, and upper. Notice in your effort to pattern the breath, you may have brought more tension back to the tongue or the jaw. Relax that again. And again, tension flowing out from crown through the tips of your toes like water in a waterfall. Once your awareness is connected to your physical form and your physical form has released some tension, you no longer need to shape the breath quite as assiduously. So now you can let your breath just do what it does and focus on relaxing the inner corners of your eyes. And imagine that spiky energy that's trying to move up into your consciousness, those waves, those rittis that are keeping us tense, that are keeping us hyper focused in a negative way, are receding like the tide. Back of the head is heavy. Back, sides, front of the neck soft. Relax the upper arm bones. So Kate's tummy's rumbling away, which tells me we have turned on the switch for her parasympathetic nervous system. This is great. If that's happening for you, let that ease and kind of the moving into the natural order of things. So let that move now up into the space of the heart. Remember that in times of strife and struggle and confusion and grief and fear, one of the smartest and most courageous things that we can do is take the time to relax. From that relaxation comes wisdom. In that relaxation comes digestion of experience, digestion of input. There's a reason why this is called restorative yoga, because it restores, it's the act of restoration. Filling in the negative spaces with presence. Take one more breath here. And then roll the arms inward. So from external rotation, we'll roll the palms so they face the floor and bring the hands to the strap. Well, perhaps you can find the buckle. And from that position, loosen it enough so you can get your feet out. Doreen's kitty is participating. Okay, so let's take the hands to the outer thighs. Use the arm strength to bring the thighs together before you sit up, if you can. Okay, ideally you would be rolling off to your sides and pausing. I see people popping up, but I didn't have a chance to give you that instruction. Roll off to your side, allow the hips to adjust, and then sit up. Okay. Take the cat off your chest. Okay. So as I said, we're going to use this practice to move through 6 actions of spine. We just did a hip opener and a bit of a back bend here. We're going to do a lateral pose. That's great if your spine is, in rib cage are what's the word I'm looking for? Flexible enough, you can use a big bolster. If not, you're going to use a smaller bolster or a rolled up blanket. So what Kate's going to do is just drape herself right over the side. So you see this beautiful, and then she's got a little pillow. Yep. So we're going to move quickly into the pose. Yep. And then a block at the crown, reaching on the crown of the head. So just make sure you're seeing her wrist is, she doesn't need to hold on to the block, grip the block with the hand. The arm is passive. And then we put a little blanket between the thighs just to make it even more yum. So this is about allowing those intercostals space and the what do they call it, the sticky outie on the side, the facets, the spinal processes to expand on one side and contract on the other. Those of you who are aware, right, we talked about connective tissue and the anatomy and physiology parts. So fascia and connective tissue, cartilage, it all needs to get sort of stretched and loved up. It's not always about muscle and tendon and ligament. So in this pose, again, the breath of the day is Dirga, or the long breath. Meryl, I'm just going to suggest you hinge your hips a little more. So draw your knees towards your tummy just a little bit more. There it is. And this will allow the low back to relax. So you should be on your side and the knees and the hips are flexed. If you do not want to stretch your top arm, if that doesn't feel good, don't do it. Make that executive decision. You can also bring your block up to a higher level. And yeah, again, the block can go, yep. Yeah, that's fine, Sydney. If that doesn't feel good though, you can take it out. And then next time you'll find something else to put between the knees. So this pose we don't hold quite as long because we're doing two sides. But I'm going to encourage you to find that 3-part breath, belly, middle, upper, both on inhalation and exhalation for the next 3 or 4 rounds of breath. And again, if given the time of day, we're teaching this at 2:30 in the afternoon. If you do still have a lot to do later today, a very, very, very mild ujjayi, again, not creating an external sound, but an internal vibration. And you're continuing to involute or move that mind peacefully inward. All right. One more round of breath. So how we're going to move to the second side is going to be really challenging. Not really. You're going to roll to your tummy and just kind of flop over to the other side. So just lift up maybe halfway and then roll yourself right over to the other side. Try to keep your head at the level of your heart. So if you can avoid sitting up altogether, that just helps. Okay, good. I'm looking at the form of the folks that I can see. Looks pretty good. Again, if you prefer not to reach that top arm, you certainly don't have to. But if you are reaching it, remember the proper rotation. This is external rotation. And you can bring the block to its highest side, which will make it less of an active stretch for you. Yep, external. Oh, no, Doreen. Tricep towards your cheek. Yep, that's it. And again, you've heard me say this before, but sort of identify some of the sticky bits and breathe into those spaces. Not just we're hugging it out. So maybe the space of serratus right here in the side ribs that move into actually they go this way. They go both ways. So maybe it's that space there, just to the outside of your shoulder blade. Maybe it's the actual shoulder joint itself. Okay. Relax the tummy, relax the low back. And again, restorative yoga is about yielding to the shape of the props. So for the next 2 breaths, let's just yield. So again, we'll begin to transition from this pose by rolling towards the mat. Roll your body towards the mat. And then here we are going to sit up because we're going to reposition things. Sit all the way up. Good. And then we're going to go into a twist. Now, Kate's pretty stretchy. If you are not, you're going to want to have that bolster or whatever it is be higher. Alternatively, you may not have this handy, but you can use a bench or even a chair. to put the bolster on, something like that, you know, a chair seat. So the knees are not stacked. The top knee is back behind the bottom knee. She's wearing black pants, so it's a little harder to see. You got that, Alyssa? Can you see it? Nice. Okay. She's so cute. Okay. And then you stay upright. You see how she's pushing herself away from the floor? Remember, before we go into a deep twist, we go into extension. So extend, broaden the entire trunk, and then down you go. Beautiful. So she's able to turn her gaze, turn her face away from the position or where the knees are. For some of you, that might be too much, and you can keep your gaze initially or the whole time facing the knees. And then it's the same thing. I want you to think about the back kind of rounding. Yeah. And once you get established, you'll then hold on to nothing. So you'll turn the palms to face up. Remember how our habitual gripping of the hands can create unnecessary tension? Yeah. So hold on to nothing. Now, one of the precepts that I had given you in terms of restorative yoga, you know, is always support as much as you possibly can. We're demonstrating a high lift here for the twist. For most of you, your forearms might be on the floor, and that's great too. So support as many body parts as possible. And remember, one of the hallmarks of restorative yoga in general, not always, but in general, is that we're supporting the seats of the parasympathetic nervous system, so the sacrum and the cranium or the base of the skull. Even though here they are not pressing into anything, you're still aware of relaxing the back of your head and relaxing the low back. And again, because this is an asymmetrical pose, we don't hold it for quite as long as we would a symmetrical pose. So just take the next about 3 rounds of breath to really breathe into those sticky places, maybe around your kidneys, where those big back muscles insert into the spine. Just the area just above your kidney space is often a sticky place. So you're going to hug it out there without any force. Without any force. So I bring to mind a quote, the softest of stuff quickly penetrates the hardest, insubstantial. It enters where there is no room. So let your awareness, your prana, your self-love move into those resistant places. So very slowly turn your palms back to face the floor. Just push the floor away, let your head be heavy, and then you'll just roll on over to the second side. And again, position yourself so that your hips, your outer hip or the outside of your forward hip is close to the bolster. Get long before you move into the twist. Okay, so Annie, put both hands on the floor before you come down. Make sure see if you can get your sternum level with the bolster. Like turn your spine a little more. Yeah, yes, that's it. Good. All right, down you come. So just notice notice the energy with your palms down versus palms up. To me, in my own practice, this makes a difference. So palms up is trustful surrender and receptivity. Relaxed jaw, inner corners of eyes, base of tongue. Relax here the pelvic floor. The bones of the legs. And again, trustful surrender. Scan the body, the space between the eyebrows, temple skin, jaw, shoulders. Can you dome the upper back from arm bone to arm bone? 2 more rounds of breath. So here's the place where you can sort of set a time stamp in this present moment awareness. That self-expression that is inward, that is calm, that is peaceful. Let's take that with us into our next asana. So we're going to keep the same setup, same prop setup, but now your knees are going to kind of more or less straddle the bolster. We're moving into child's pose. So an option here, if the seat doesn't like to go all the way to the heels, is to put that blanket underneath the seat. And we move into child's pose here.
Is this too high or is this okay?
You can take it down if you want. Yeah, so move the little bolster. That's nice. So again, she makes sure the spine is nice and long before she comes down. Turns the head to the side. If you don't like having head turned to side, you can do Makarasana arms here. So forehead on the hands. That's an option. We don't want to be in a shape that's going to create tension. Yeah, Natalie, that looks a little short, so pull it forward just a teeny bit. There you go. So here's where we move into, everybody, this is a reminder, Apanavayu, so that letting go, the elimination, the post-digestion. I mean, not literally, right? But that emotional kind of nervous system letting go. So the fold of the knees and the fold at the hips are both proponents or precursors to, or what am I saying? They help Apanavayu. So think about the downward, outward moving expression that allows you to forgive, to release negative, spent emotion. And here you may even want to add on to the practice by making your exhalation maybe a little bit longer. But don't do anything that requires a tremendous amount of effort. You may feel so relaxed, spontaneous pause comes up at the end of the exhalation, and that's great too. But we're not trying to force anything. If you have your head turned to a side, let's turn it to the other side for about 5 rounds of breath. And notice if you're holding on unwittingly to any tension in the low back. So as we did when we were in the twist, imagining that the shoulder blades were sort of melting away from each other, doming the back from arm bone to arm bone. Feel it as though you could melt the tension from the sacrum through the SI joints, down through the hip bones and out, down to the floor. 2 more rounds of breath here, please. So let's gather the arms underneath us. Use the arms, let the head slowly come up. Good. Okay. Great. Now I was going to do legs up the wall, but I'm not sure who. Show of hands. I see 2 people that obviously can easily do it. Do you have space to do legs up the wall? Yes, Annie, you do? Okay. So you probably will leave the screen. So Kate's going to show you how to do that. Now you can use the folded blanket. If you want to go a little higher, you could actually use the bolster. You know what? What she's going to do is tie the thighs together just above the knees. Oh my gosh, this makes it so delicious. So you make sure you're over at the wall first so you don't trap yourself, right, Alyssa? So you're just going to use the strap, loop it around so that there's no leg energy necessary here. And then the bolster or folded blanket or blankets goes almost touching the wall, not exactly. And then you're gonna sit to the side. Yep, sit with perpendicular to the wall. First, sit perpendicular to the wall. What's perpendicular? Sit. And then spin around. Yeah. Yeah. So watch Kate for a sec, everybody. So she sits perpendicular and then comes down. So that way you don't fall off of your prop. And then I'm gonna take the strap, and you can do this yourself, bending your knees. So the strap is already around the thighs, and you can bend your knees and do this. You're just gonna go right up and around your ankles. If that for any reason feels less safe for you, you do not wanna have your legs tied up, you don't do it. But it might feel fabulous. And there's a little softening to the knees, and your pelvis, your sacrum should be horizontal. The tailbone should not be lifting. That's going to create instability, and it also won't allow for the chest to open up here. So we're in a very gentle inversion, and I won't even say a back bend, but there's a gesture towards this. So the armpit chest and the collarbones are nice and open and wide, and the space underneath your cervical spine is so I'm going to move the camera so you can see a side view. So Kate's chest is nice and open. You can see the space underneath the cervical spine, and the pelvis is horizontal. It's flat. Now, given that we have time constraint here, we will stay in this pose for a few minutes, but you could stay in this pose for 15 minutes. And this indeed could be most of your restorative practice. It's that good. But every pose is a matter of personal preference, right? So let the weight of the legs press the pelvis down. Again, this is wonderful, for Apana Vayu. Imagine that the hips are just melting into whatever it is that's lifting them. And you can have your arms out like Shavasana or in goalpost. You want to give that a try? Okay. So either way, whatever facilitates a deeper breath. Relax the skin of your forehead. Relax the eyeballs back towards the back of your head. Temple skin, the ears, everything. Jaw, side of the neck, front of the neck. Feel the support of the earth. Feel the support of that part of your consciousness that is always steady, that is always knowing. Feel support of your breath, which is quiet now, but is always in service to your highest and best. Relax into the guiding intelligence that is an inherent part of who you are. Okay, everybody. Let's begin to deepen the breath. So to come out of this, you're going to turn your palms wherever they are to face the floor again. And then bend your knees so your feet come onto the wall. Pause there and take the strap off the lower legs. And then use the wall like the floor and push yourself away from the wall so your tummy, your hips come onto the floor. So just pushing away. Yep. Nice. From there, you'll roll off to a side. Just roll off to one side. You take the strap off. And come up like you were coming up from Shavasana. Let's come back to our mat space. Now that could take the place of Shavasana, but we are going to give you a short Shavasana. So if you've got pillows or even the 2 blocks and you do have a blanket, we're going to use the blanket not under the knees, we're going to use it under the head. So before you lay down, I'm going to make what I call a snood, which is like a hood. So you're going to take the blanket from storage fold and just make a little round. Now she's going to lay down and it's going to come around like this, like right around the ears. So this is, it's attractive. But it's wonderful for pratyahara. So come on back. What do you think? So let her get into the position here. Yeah. This can actually, yeah. It could tuck down like that a little bit. All right. Yeah. And then, yeah, there it is. Nice. Now, if you've got a blanket, if you were smarter than we were and you have 2 blankets, you can put one over you and you can put your bolster or even your blocks underneath your knees. Legs are in a gentle external rotation. Good. I would take get a blanket, but the dog's laying on it. So, so I have this sweater over the piggies. Now you can take a really, Cadillac version of this and weight yourself down even more. There. Oh, there it is. If you've got more to weigh you down, wonderful. Maybe something across the pelvis. I'm actually just going to use a pillow, which will provide about half a pound. But again, in these times, how deeply we can relax is going to work directly with how deeply we can be effective when we come back out of relaxation. So let's take a couple of really big fat breaths in and let them out with a sigh. Whatever emotion you're holding, let it go. 2 more. Relieve yourself. 1 more time. Relieve yourself of tension, of holding. And then be still. Once again, we'll scan the body from crown of the head through the soles of the feet, noticing where you hold physical tension, release those. Release in and through your energy body, in and through the wisdom body. Rest in the bliss body, Anandamaya Kosha.
Let's invite our breath to begin to deepen now. And move your awareness back to your periphery and begin to find movement in fingers and toes, hands and feet, legs and arms. You can give yourselves a stretch on the floor if you'd like. We'll definitely roll off to a side whenever you're ready. As always, we slowly press ourselves up to sit. You're fine. So rather than conclude with a lengthy kind of actual meditation, we're going to just conclude with, I don't know, a prayer. And it's about metta, so loving kindness. In these times where we're feeling stricken as disease levels, physically, societally, socially, it's our job as beings of light to offer loving kindness to those that we know and love, those that we don't know, those that we find unlovable. To all sentient beings. Because if they all were in the place that we're going to wish for them, things would be better for everybody. So let's bring hands to heart, merging the energy of that which we do to that of who we are. And we'll just conclude with that prayer. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. And may all beings know ease of well-being. Jai Ma. Jai. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you for having me.
So my lovelies, to be continued. We'll be keeping in touch, and I hope everybody's as well as can be, and that everyone is serving as best as they can to the needs of their own heart and to those of everyone that you encounter. So don't let this continue to be about separation and fear. I'll see you all soon. Big love. Take care, everybody.